Happy Dads are like a vodka-based seltzer type drink. And then they have mom water, actual drinks called mom water.
It's nice to have drinks that feel like they're named after you. Happy Dad. Mike's Hard Lemonade, in my case, is another one.
I think if they were naming a drink after me, it might be Slightly Disgruntled Dad. Think they make that?
Yeah. It would be called Dad Stop Talking.
We're at ISPA, the International Seat Products Show. And so we were all sitting down at breakfast. And I said, so Milana, it's your first time at ISPA. I said, how did you like it? She thought a minute. She said, you know something? I just didn't think you would be talking so much.
That's exactly my impression of this podcast so far.
Oh, well, would you rather me not say anything and you just talk? I can do that. In that case, it's really more me interviewing you.
It doesn't match up with what I was expecting. I don't know. Actually, that's a lie. I was expecting I'd barely get a word in. That's a little bit like the compliment we got from Mary. That was almost fun.
It was almost fun.
Yeah.
I really think that needs to be on the front page of our website in quotations.
Yeah. Maybe once we have 2 testimonials, we'll create a testimonials page.
Do we not have any more testimonials than that on YouTube?
Well, I mean, we've only had, in fairness, 1 guest. So
we do have a review.
We're going to be like the opposite of those hosts who don't read their reviews. The one review we receive, we read it nightly as affirmation.
I'm having a tattoo to my lower back.
Yeah. Some episodes are just about that one review. That's just what we talk about.
The combination of these 2 personalities will make for an amazing show.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Amazing.
Let's talk about...
So many words he could have chosen, or she.
They're anonymous. So can I ask you the question? If you leave us a good review, do you make it anonymous in case they disagree with your opinion? You're like, what a freaking moron. Like, that guy doesn't know him.
Just leave a little distance. These guys could go off the handle. I don't know if I want to be linked.
Connect my brand to them.
Yeah. We probably still have this vibe that at any second, this thing could go completely off the rails.
So far, I haven't had anyone go, like, what? I feel like we need some of that, right? Like, what the hell did you just say? Like,
yeah.
We need some of that, right? People to be outraged or shocked or, so far, I think we've been, pretty milquetoast, right? Pretty down the middle.
I hope not milquetoast, but yeah, we don't mean to be trying to upset anybody. I think we took appropriate efforts in any of the topics that we've covered, and I think we intend to continue doing this, that we're trying to say the things that need to be said and address the topics that need to be addressed and offer all the important insights without, it might upset somebody in the sense of we're talking about something that maybe that they're benefiting from currently, but we're talking about it in a negative way, or we're talking about something that in a positive way that is currently hurting them. So it might upset them in those respects, but it's not going to upset them as any kind of like a attack. We're not going to attack anybody on this podcast. That's not ever my intent. And we're talking about business strategy, and business strategy is inherently not personal. It's about the business.
It is my strategy. I want to attack and demean. That's my goal. For the people who have it coming, Mike, I think they need to be called out. No, man, I think the good thing for us is we have an opinion and we're going to give it. And you and I aren't always going to agree. That's the great thing. I want that tension too. I want us to debate. I want us to, wherever we see that opportunity, because, the audience should have the benefit of that because there's probably differing opinions there too. I think you and I look at a lot of things the same way, but, there's things that, you and I are looking at from different perspectives. So I love that. That's the great thing about this podcast. So,
yeah. Well, this is a topic that we may not disagree on because I think we're more likely to see this similarly, the one we have for today.
We are. And before we get into it, I just want to say thanks for tuning in. This is Mark and Mike on the Wake Up Call podcast. Obviously, you saw it when you clicked on it. That's why you're here.
You set your alarm to it in the morning, and obviously we started talking, and that's how you're now awake.
And how glad are you to wake up with a cup of coffee and Mark and Mike there to keep you company? That's good. Or make you run faster if you're on the treadmill this morning. But we are grateful to our media partner, Betting News Now. You guys are awesome. Thank you. They are blasting us, Mike, every Friday in its standalone email and every Monday to 27,000 people in the industry. And we're glad you're here and glad you're on board. So
And I'll just add to that, I don't usually add anything to that, but just most importantly, I hope people are getting real value out of the information that we're sharing here and the perspectives that we're sharing. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this. It's not just to reach 27,000 people. We are grateful to have that opportunity to reach people with what we consider to be hopefully important and insightful information, as well as some entertainment.
And when you say some, you mean exactly that.
That's how I'll classify all the grab ass that happens in between the insightful pieces of information. We'll call that quote unquote entertainment.
There's a smidge.
A little bit of insightful information, and we'll call all the rest entertainment.
A smidge. You know what a smidge is by definition?
I love the word smidge, yeah.
It's like that much, right? A smidge?
Yeah.
It's like that much. If you're watching, it's like,
We measure it in the lab at Dow. It's a smidge. It's a unit of measurement that we use
scientific?
all the time. Yeah, it's very, the scientists use it all the time.
It's like joules and then smidges.
Yeah. And there's joules per smidge.
Your scientist buddies are going to disown you now by that. If you are tuning into this, if you didn't get a chance to listen to the last episode, Mike, I loved that episode, which kind of sets this one up too, don't you think? That episode where we're talking about, e-commerce guys and the new bargain and their leverage as they expand. First, they launch into direct to consumer, and then they launch into brick and mortar. And we talked about, the power of their brand strength and all the money they put into the market and telling their story. We talk about the origin of Bed in the Box, go through a lot of really cool stuff. Even the episode before that was about, the blind retail, all the big box guys selling mattresses. So it's kind of all serving together.
And the value destruction that's happening together with that. Yeah.
The value destruction. And this next episode, Mike, I'm going to tee it up for you to talk about, but I love it because it is exposing some of the BS inside of the category, and it is not a small thing. And that is, what is the best mattress, Michael?
Well, I don't know about you, but when you're at a cocktail party or, even just the proverbial cocktail party, it could be a soccer practice or whatever, and someone you're chatting with asks you what you do and you mention what you do, the first question I get 90% of the time is, oh, what's the best mattress?
Same.
I think we can all relate to that. And it shows how people approach this category. And, you see it in, obviously, not surprisingly, Google search data. If you look at Google Trends, you see like the best mattress query has been rising for the better part of a decade. And, it vastly exceeds even mattress reviews.
Is that the number one query, Mike, is what is the best mattress?
Well, best mattress, if you just hone in on those two words,
right.
There could be various phrases created around those. It could include words after it, like best mattress for blah, 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 or, words before it, like what is the best mattress? But, broadly speaking, best mattress queries have been growing. And it's a function and a reflection of, I think, how people have been trained / are training themselves to shop increasingly for other products. And since mattresses are not a product that they purchase very often, they will tend to start fresh. They don't have any kind of rubric that they bring to the table. Oh, this is how I shop for a mattress every decade. They have generally forgotten how they got through it last time, maybe with some PTSD or what have you. They've put it out of their heads, but they don't come in with any kind of a idea of how to do it. So what they tend to do is apply the methods that they have developed from other product categories. And they have no real reason. They don't understand mattresses well enough to question why or whether those methods may not apply to mattresses. So they just go, all right, well, usually what I do when I'm looking for a toaster, I would say like best toaster. And then maybe I'll say best toaster 2026. That's my tried and true product search strategy. And then I look at some lists and I figure out which one's on the most lists, and then I go there. That's what they tend to do with mattresses, and then they quickly get validated by the fact that when they search for whatever they search for, best mattress, anything, there's going to be tons of results. That unfortunately validates the method for many people. They go, oh, I guess I was right. That is a good way to search for this product. What they don't understand, mattresses are not like other products. That's the real thing that I think as an industry we've failed to educate people on, because they don't understand that mattresses are fundamentally personal. That's really what we always try to explain at GoodBed. And that's honestly, we had a video on our homepage for many years where I had said like the number one thing that most mattress shoppers get wrong and that they need to know is that mattresses are personal. So there's no such thing as the best mattress. That literally was like, if I have 10 seconds of someone's attention as a mattress shopper, that's the thing I want them to know. Start from there, because that's where most people honestly go off the rails, is the very, very beginning.
So, Mike, taking it a level deeper, I believe this came from a conversation with you, and it's the clickbait list, right, out there with different, and I'm air quoting this, review sites, and there's some balloons. Thank you for my Macintosh. When you are looking for best mattress, then it's like best mattress for side sleeper, best mattress for back sleeper, right? So there's now all these categories and listicles that are clickbait, right?
Sure.
But your comment to me was, how could you possibly know what the best mattress for a side sleeper is if you don't really have an appreciation for how the weight on that person is distributed, for if they have any back pain, if there is any shoulder pain? Like, you cannot possibly understand that well enough to claim that you have the foggiest idea what is legitimately the best mattress for a side sleeper for that person searching at that time. It's bogus, and it's really misleading and a bad industry practice, and it's not the industry's fault. It's the people putting these bogus lists out, right?
Yeah, I think most people who've been in the industry a long time understand that intuitively. There's no debate, I think, among anyone who knows mattresses, that mattresses are personal and that it depends on far more things and far more criteria than just what position do I sleep in, or am I a man or a woman, like best mattress for couples, that type of thing. These are like singular criteria, and this is a multi criteria type of personalization that is required to find the right mattress for someone. It depends on what we call fit criteria, like your body shape, your weight, as you pointed out, your sleep position is part of that. It depends on feel preferences, like do I like a firmer bed or a softer bed? Do I like memory feel, or do I hate it, or am I neutral? Do I want it to be bouncy and responsive, or do I not like that? I don't want it to move when I sit down on it. These are all things that are preference-based. And then there's also a bunch of features mattresses could have that aren't a priority for some people, but are critical for others. You know, is it good at motion isolation? Probably that doesn't matter if I sleep by myself, right? Whereas if I or my partner am a light sleeper and the other one is restless or gets up a lot, that could be absolutely mission critical. Edge support, cooling, natural materials. These are all things that also can vary quite a bit, both in how a mattress performs in those areas, as well as how important or how much those even matter to any given person. So you have to know a whole lot in order to actually say to somebody, hey, this is the one that you should get, particularly if you're talking about a product that they're going to spend thousands of dollars on. They deserve to get one that actually matches what they're looking for and what they need. And you need to know a hell of a lot more than just one single criteria. The only way to do a best mattress list with any integrity is if you have all of that information. And that becomes a personal recommendation, essentially.
Sure. But you said that, most people in the industry understand that a mattress is very personal. Don't care at all about that. Yes, definitely agree. People in the industry know that. Consumers don't.
Consumers do not, correct.
They don't. And that's what's so frustrating, because you and I were talking about, the blind retail and all the bullshit that comes out. A lot of the reviews are bogus and based on
We're going to get that explicit label on this one again.
I know, but hey, listen, I'm fired up. I don't care. We can bleep it out if we have to.
Hey.
But, the marketing claims that are being made, the reviews that people are depending on, like reviewing all of that. But this stuff is just as bad. It's misleading, and the consumer doesn't know. And that's why I love it when retailers, and I think retailers should do more of it, is push them into your store for the experience of being fitted, right? It's great to go get a suit and be measured and talk to a tailor and pick the fabrics out and be fitted for that, or a shoe.
Yes.
I would love to see more of that language, because if you get them in for that, because, hey, listen, it's not just the mattress, Mike, it's the pillow that matters.
Of course.
Right? It's the sheets that matter, the whole ecosystem. And you can't do that if it's some, consumer shopping and they don't know what they don't know.
Not only on GoodBed do we not have best lists, because we know that they're all, every single one of them, incredibly deceptive and misleading.
Yep.
But we also, if you land on GoodBed and you're here for, more than 20 seconds, you're going to see our quiz, which is essentially our version of helping you hone in on the personal nature of this product and help you start going down the path of being fitted. But ultimately, what that leads many of our readers to do is go into a store where they can kind of further refine that. And it works hand in glove with any retailer who does have sort of a fitting type of approach, because we kind of send in somebody who's preconditioned to understand that these products are personal, and that obviously whatever research we gave them was given to them with that in mind, that personal aspect of the product in mind. But now they get to touch and feel the product and interact with it with hopefully the guidance of a knowledgeable salesperson as well. That really serves as a great culmination to that process. So yeah, we are 100% on board with that. But it's you have to understand, you have to put yourself in the mind of the consumer just for a minute, because it's easy to get why the consumers start there, right? Like, it's, first of all, a very confusing purchase. They know it's going to be confusing because they know they don't know anything about it, because they haven't thought about it since the last time they shopped. And the idea of like somebody just doing the work and telling me what the best one is so tantalizingly appealing, isn't it? So it's like, oh gosh, wouldn't it be great if I could just Google the best mattress and just have it tell me? It would save me all that work. I wouldn't have to go into a store and get hassled, or even just learning a new thing that I don't want to really particularly become an expert in. So it's tantalizingly appealing. And I think this is an important point, by the way. If any RSAs are out listening here, or if you work with any RSAs like in your company, I'd highly recommend sharing this episode with them, because I think an RSA, to be able to speak to the consumer and meet them where they are about this topic, is really valuable. Like, this is going to be, as we learned at our cocktail parties, where people start, right? This is their inclination, is that I typically like to know what the best product is. And I've already felt somewhat validated if I Googled that and saw a bunch of pages telling me best mattresses. So I feel like that's valid. And yet a salesperson has to kind of disarm them of that, to overcome that perceived notion from the consumer by explaining to them why that doesn't work for this product. Why are mattresses different than wireless routers or washing machines, where there are maybe 3 things we all want from a washing machine. It should be like fast, it should be quiet, and it should get my clothes clean, end of list. Pretty much the same list everyone else is going to have. No one's like, I don't want my clothes to be fully clean, just kind of clean. There's no preferences there. With washing machines, it makes sense to look at somebody's testing and say like, okay, these are the ones that did the best at those things that we all care about. With mattresses, they're more like pants. We all have different body shapes. We have different, obviously, preferences for what kind of pants would look good on us. Or shoes is another good example. It's like the best shoes of 2026. Oh, well, gosh, I didn't even realize, but the best shoes of 2026 are these stilettos.
Right.
I was planning to play tennis, but I guess these are the best shoes of 2026. I should just get these. The second best ones are these like climbing shoes. I guess I'll get a pair of those as well.
Well, I want to see you playing tennis in your stilettos. Please, just get some photos.
You won't see that because I've learned this best mattress lesson. But, a lot of people out there, they would potentially do that. Well, they wouldn't do that because they inherently know that shoes are personal, that pants are personal. They wouldn't have that inclination. But that's the thing they don't understand about mattresses, is that they're more like shoes and pants than they are like toasters and washing machines.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey, Mark, I know we have a great sponsor, Imagine.io, and I understand you've actually worked with them and can speak about not only the company as well as your experience with them.
I do, and I have, Mike. I've worked with them actually for over a decade. Preet and Serbian and all those guys are fantastic, and I'm working with them currently now at Schiffman, and they are an image company. And so it used to be where you would go and, hire a photo studio and make samples and send samples in and get lighting people and, set designer and all these things. It was very expensive and to go in and do that. And so now we don't do any of that. We use Imagine.io and we have a couple seats for our designers to go in. They have thousands of rooms to pick from.
So all the pictures that you're putting on Schiffman's website, that's how you're generating them?
Yeah, if you go to shipmanmattress.com and you look at that landing page, it's a beautiful room. And that is an 1893 bed called Bodaciousness. And it's gorgeous. And it's all done on Imagine's platform, and it's all CG. And they help us in their mattress builder product. And Mike, Schiffman has a lot of attention to detail, like the corner guards and the handles and the stitching. And so the fact that they're able to do that and light a room differently and take different angles of images, and more than anyone that your images online, your product images in carousel, and if you're a bedding manufacturer on your own website, or if you're creating images for a retailer to sell your product, those images matter. And so take a look at imagine.io and see for yourself what they could potentially do for you, not just in quality of images, flexibility, but also in versatility. They help us put out a great product, and I highly recommend giving them a look. Imagine.io.
And now back to the show.
I want to take everyone through something real quick. I did searches, Mike, top 10 best mattress, right? I want a list. And I went into AI because now AI is such a big deal. And a lot of people are just bypassing the search bar on Google. They're either going into Gemini, going into AI mode, or they go to Perplexity, ChatGPT, my favorite, Claude. And out of all of those AI companies, you've got, top 10 beds. It's the best marketers, direct-to-consumer marketers.
Of course.
It's not Serta, Simmons, Sealy, Stearns & Foster. Like literally none of the traditional brands that I grew up with in the category. It's all about, Helix and Satva and all of those guys who are really good marketing online, which takes me to this point. It's some other brands that you don't even see at brick and mortar at all. And so it just begs the question, whose role is it to be talking about the fact that we have to disrupt the idea with the consumer that these types of lists matter or are real or true in any way? And then not only are you debunking that idea, but then you're counter punching with an invitation to come in the store because this is the only way for you to really understand if this bed is good for you.
It is everybody's job.
Everybody's job. Okay.
Everybody's job who wants to help consumers find the best mattress and who believes that their business is built for that purpose. So if you make good mattresses, you should be letting people know. If you sell good mattresses, you should be letting people know. And I think that there should be a concerted effort on the part of every brick and mortar retailer, and certainly every brand who principally sells through brick and mortar retail. But for that matter, like I said, even any just manufacturer of good quality products, to make this a focus. We should be hitting this message the same way that the early direct-to-consumer companies came hard with the message that mattress shopping in a store sucks. Mattress stores are greedy. All that stuff. Like, you don't want to go into a mattress store. They came hard with that message that mattress stores are a bad shopping experience. They're going to hassle you. They're going to cheat you. They're going to lie to you. They came so hard with that message collectively. They all did. Independently, they came up with a way to say that, but they all made it part of their message. They made it part of their message because they knew that if the consumer could buy into that message, that on balance, that's going to keep them out of a store and give them a chance of converting them through the online purchase. We know we need to do the opposite. Well, and I'm not even including myself because I've been beating this drum for 15 years. But the retailers, brands, you guys need to beat this drum. This needs to be a constant drum roll that best mattress lists are bogus. Every single one of them is bogus. Because let's just play this out. If you believe in the myth of the best mattress, why do you need to go to a store? What is the point of going to a store? If you believe the myth of the best mattress, thank God Forbes. I didn't even know they were mattress experts, but I guess. And also some guys at Sports Illustrated apparently are real mattress experts. And so thank God for them because I was able to save myself so much time. I didn't have to go to a store. I didn't have to talk to a salesperson. I didn't have to do any of that because they just told me the best mattress. I don't even care if I get it from a local store because what could go wrong? I trusted these experts to tell me the best mattress. And so I just clicked and bought it online. If you believe in the myth of the best mattress, you have no reason to ever go to a store.
No, true.
So therefore, everybody who sells products through physical stores should be beating the drum hard that these lists are completely worthless and specifically bogus.
You know who does a great job of it, Mike? You know, Nate, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Kenjemi?
I think that's right.
Kenjemi, right? So he's out in California. He's got a store. He does a great job in his social media content. You know, really, he takes it as an opportunity to educate the people in his market about why it's important for them to come in and try beds in his showroom. You know, and I challenged you with, all right, whose job is this, right? And your answer was everyone's, which I happen to agree with. And it made me think about Schiffman and what we're doing. And one of the things we pride ourselves on is the fact that we don't do a lot of the e-com stuff, right? We don't put our products on Amazon. We have a relationship with Perigold. That's really the only, and now they've got brick and mortar. So if there's a retailer that has an extension on their website, they sell our product, that's fine. But it's where we have showrooms, right? Where people have because our view of it is for a consumer to really appreciate or understand the value of a Schiffman handmade bed, you have to go in and try it. So we think that, number one, we believe that. Fundamentally, we believe that. Second part, though, is we want it for our brick and mortar retailer. We want them to be able to say, like, this isn't everywhere, and you have to come experience it for yourself so you can truly appreciate it. And then I think about our website, and like, we could do a much better job as a bedding brand, you know, on our website, telling that part of the story and, you know, pushing people into our valued retail network, right? And let it be a call to action somewhere prominent right on the front page, because, you know, we as a brand have to be aware of it and we have to be part of this solution. And so I think that's important. It's a good reminder for me.
It's kind of a simple message. If you see a best mattress list, you're being misled.
Right.
Period. End of story. There's literally no exception. If you see a best mattress list, you're being misled. It doesn't matter whether you're being misled because the people who put that list together are ignorant, or because they're corrupt, or some combination thereof. Either way, you're being misled.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned at a cocktail party when I have people ask me that question, which it just happened to me last week. You know, I'm happy to talk about a brand that does a good job with quality, et cetera. But I say the same thing. I'm like, here's some stores that I would send you to, but I can't tell you what the best mattress is. It's always a question. You just have to go in. And I feel sometimes like they feel like I'm brushing them off with the answer.
Right? And their eyes kind of glaze over and they go like, oh, you're going to give me like a sales pitch then.
Well, no. How do you not know the best mattress? You've been in the industry how long now, right? You should know the best mattress.
They're judging you because you don't know as much as you should. You're giving them some kind of a pitch, essentially. Or they're just bored. Like, that's the other thing. They just are like, oh, that's just too much information. Sorry, you lost me. You lost me at the first thing that wasn't the name of the best mattress.
Right. You know, I want to shine a light, and I've done this before with you. So I hate giving you this much credit, but I'm forced into this. I really am.
Can't wait.
One of the reasons that you and I became friends so quickly, especially at the beginning, is I really bought into and believed in your approach to doing what you do with GoodBed, because, you know, you have turned your back on a lot of revenue at GoodBed by not doing and participating in that type of activity. So when I figured your game out and you really, really, really wanted to be authentic and be an honest place for people to leave a review, for people to get information from you. So the integrity of that, that's when I'm like trying to introduce you to everyone I know at the time, because you're new in the industry, because you're doing what we desperately needed and still do need. And so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of like the GoodBed approach to that, because it is exactly what we need.
Well, thanks. And that is true. It's been an enormous financial sacrifice. Like, I don't think of it as a sacrifice because it's like saying, you know, gosh, you're giving up so much money by like not murdering your neighbors and stealing their house.
You know how much money you could make?
Yeah. You could make so much money if you just killed all those people and took their houses and all the stuff in it. It feels sort of similar like that to me, because I think of it as just, I could never do that. So it's never been like on the table for me. But at the same point, what I do see is I look around at other blocks, you know, and there's all these people murdering their neighbors and stealing their houses. And I'm like, God, like, we're just in this little house. Like, it's fine, but on our block, there's all these review sites that every single one of our competitors has best mattress lists. We're the only one. And I always tell people, how do you know when you found a disreputable mattress information source? There's an easy way to know. A super easy way to know. Do they have best mattress lists? The only thing you need to find out. If they do, that's the red flag, smoking gun, whatever you want to call it. There's no excuse for it because every single one of those lists is misleading, deceptive, and anyone who knows mattresses at all should be not ignorant enough to know that they are deceiving you. So it's most likely that they're corrupt, but at a minimum, they're ignorant. That's like the sort of best case scenario is that they're ignorant. But it sort of leads to the question of, so people do the search for best mattress and they find all these results. Why are there all these pages, And you've kind of hinted at the reason, which is when someone searches for best mattress, they're effectively declaring themselves as, hey, I'm about to spend a couple $1,000 or something like meaningful on a mattress. And I'm looking for somebody to tell me which one to buy. And as you can imagine, that is incredibly valuable real estate to be on that page. The competitors of ours who came in after we did quickly realized that and started selling that real estate. And that is how the vast majority of those lists work, is they are pay to play. So what you are seeing is not any collection of mattresses, any collection of their opinions even, or results of testing. It is a ranked list of who pays them the most money. So when you talked about like who showed up in your results, in your ChatGPT queries, what I thought to myself was, well, I could tell you the economics behind that. I could tell you why Sealy is never going to show up in those lists. And that's because the economics of Sealy's business are such that probably 90-something% of the unit volume of Sealy mattresses that are sold or purchased are purchased in a brick and mortar store where no attribution tracking is possible. Therefore, there is no way that Sealy can ever, even if they wanted to, and by the way, it could be that they are absolutely refusing to take part in any of these things on an ethical basis. But even if they wanted to buy their way to the top of these lists, it would never make sense for them economically to do that because they'd have to pay so much more than a D2C brand, like than a brand that principally sells through the online channel, through their own website. They'd have to pay so much more because of all the leakage. And the affiliate website is going to basically judge them on how much people purchase that product in a way that they get credit for. So with a brand that sells principally through brick and mortar stores, there's so much leakage of purchases that happen through brick and mortar that the affiliate goes, I'm not getting enough credit for putting you number one. You're either going to have to pay me more than the mattress is worth every time someone does buy that I get credit for, or you're going to just not be on my list. And that's the reality.
To your point of being in brick and mortar, I just did a quick search on this. The average American reads on a 7th grade level, right? So the reason I'm bringing that up is how savvy do you think they are? Like you hear a lot from them on GoodBed's on your website, but like how many people are being tricked by this stuff anymore?
I think most people are being tricked.
Okay.
I think the majority of people are being tricked. I think it's definitely a minority of people who gets through this process and understands that all these best mattress lists they saw were bogus, every single one of them. I think that there's some people who think, oh yeah, I saw some that I was like, I'm too savvy a shopper, and I think that one's bogus. But see, since I'm so savvy, I knew that I should focus on these other best mattress lists that were really giving it to me straight. That's like a lot of your people out there who think that they're outsmarting the system. They're just being outsmarted by a smarter, deceptive best mattress list.
Well, it's also you're expecting a consumer to untangle the logic in the number of reviews or the quality of reviews cheap, replaceable, disposable mattresses get. They're not going to do that math. They're not going to do the math on a bogus list either, to your point. And so then, it really is the industry. And that's, hey, listen, that's part of the reason we named this show The Wake Up Call, but because this is definitely a place people need to wake up, because if we aren't collectively calling this stuff out in every touch point that we can, then, we are going to be victims of the bad behavior.
I mean, people a lot of times don't even know that when they do a Google search, they think Google is the one presenting all this information to them. They don't even realize when they click one of those blue links that they're being taken to another website. They don't even process that. And if you ask them, like, where'd you learn this? Well, I Googled it. So they just trust Google. And obviously when we go to AI, like you did with your ChatGPT search, that problem is magnified even more, because then you actually are getting the information from ChatGPT, except for you're really still not. That's what you don't realize. And the percentage of people who realize that is infinitesimally small. I'm talking about the percentage of people who realize that even when you get the answer from ChatGPT, you're still actually getting it from Forbes. It's just being filtered through. It's basically being information laundering through ChatGPT, so that now it's presented to you as though it's from ChatGPT, but you're still actually getting it from a source that was completely either ignorant or corrupt.
Yeah. Well, they're just scraping data. Okay. Here's an interesting question. Yeah. I've been talking about similar things, in my old show, and over the last 2-3 decades that frustrate me, that the industry needs to be paying attention to, right? And I don't see movement in some of these things I'm thinking of. In this one in particular, though, the best mattress thing. So we don't see a lot of retailers, right? Brick and mortar retailers talking about, hey, look, being fitted for a bed is important. Here's why. We don't see a lot of it in social. We don't see a lot of it on their websites. We don't see a lot of manufacturers calling it out or bringing awareness to that. So my logical conclusion as to why is because they don't understand the threat, or they don't value the threat as something that is hurting their business. Because if they did, wouldn't they be taking a more aggressive offensive position on that topic?
I would think, or they don't understand how it would actually benefit them for people to understand that. That's the other side of it, the carrot and the stick. Again, I go back to the early D2C marketing messages about how negatively they portrayed the mattress store shopping experience. They just saw that was a smart play for them. They all saw that. They followed it. In that case, it was a little bit easier because it reinforced something people already kind of believed or wanted to believe. In this case, it's a little harder because getting people to believe that best mattress lists are bogus, to the point of our experience at cocktail parties, is a little harder. Nonetheless, it benefits brick and mortar retailers as well as brands in the same way. And by the way, those brands in particular, but also the stores, have a lot of credibility in saying that. It's hard to imagine a brand saying there's no such thing as the best mattress, because they want to tell you, you would think, that their mattress is the best mattress.
Sure.
Like if a car company say, hey, there's no such thing as the best car, I'd be like, all right, I'm listening, because I would have thought you'd tell me that your car is the best car. And so they have a lot of credibility. That's one of the ways to break through that like sort of glazed look that you and I sometimes get when we try to explain to people that these best mattress lists are bogus, is like when that message is coming from someone who you would not expect to give you that message, you stop and listen, you pay attention, it hits you with some credibility, and you go like, oh, wow. It's like when I tell you that consumer reviews are a terrible way to buy a mattress. It's like, oh, well, if anyone was going to promote the notion that consumer reviews are the way to go, it's the guy who has more consumer reviews than any other platform. But I will tell you that they are not a sufficient way to do that. And so hopefully that lands with some more credibility because it's coming from me. So I think that there's an opportunity there that they don't necessarily see.
Okay, so I always like it when I'm listening to something like this and there's a practical application of the information to what I do, right? So I just want to throw out a couple ideas for retailers and manufacturers. Manufacturers, go on your website. Talk about the fact that your retailers have a great showroom where people can experience your product in person and be fitted for the best bed. Retailers, create product carousels that say buyer beware. How about that one? I always pay attention to that. I love those. Buyer beware, right? Don't fall for it. And then say, we have the best mattress for you. We don't have the best mattress ever. We have the best mattress for you. How do I know it? Because we're going to fit you for it.
I would say we can help you find the best mattress for you.
For you, right. But it is a discovery process.
Yeah, don't declare that you have it because you haven't built the credibility yet that you have it. But credibly, I think you can assert that you will help them find it.
Yeah, it's a nuance. I get what you're saying. But I say, we have an incredible selection of beds. We will find the best one for you. So I think we're kind of saying the same thing there.
Yeah.
And, so that's another thing. And have an influencer, have someone in your store do social media content and just saying, hey, listen, when you come into our store, our process, way different. You can go look up any kind of list you want and they're bogus. And here's why they're bogus. You come into our store and talk to them about your process and talk to them about how you fit them for a pillow, the bed for the head, and how it's so important when you measure the alignment of your spine with the right pillow for you, depending on how you sleep, right? And how your body is set up and if you have back pain, et cetera. And on the particular type of mattress that you're sinking into, I think there's so many cool ways that they could call it out and really elevate themselves in a very significant way. Yes.
And really reclaim the store as the trustworthy alternative. Let's reclaim that territory because that got painted as like the untrustworthy place to buy a mattress. And here we are now, where people are going instead are these best mattress lists. If you have one single message for a customer who's at the beginning of their journey, it should be best mattress lists are bogus, because that meets them exactly where they are at that point in time. And ultimately, it benefits you. Like, it gives you a shot at winning that customer. Just the same way when the DTC brand in 2015 had one single message, it was mattress stores are greedy, because they knew that, like, okay, I get them on that page. Now they're not going to go to a store. Now I have a shot at winning them with my message, with why I'm different and why I'm worthwhile. But I'd say start with best mattress lists are bogus, and then use that as a platform to build the rest of your message about reclaiming not only the brick and mortar store, but your brick and mortar store as a trustworthy alternative. That's where I would go.
It's not exactly the same thing, but when I was single and dating, I used to think I'm the best guy for all these girls that I wanted to date, right? And then it took me a decade or so to understand I'm not the best guy for every one of them, Mike. I wasn't the right one for everyone.
Only the really pretty ones, it turned out.
Only the really pretty ones with bad vision. I was perfect for them, turns out. No. I do want to call one other thing out before we wrap here is I love product comparisons and your observation that a mattress is just different than so many other products. I just moved, I think I told you. And so we're buying stuff for the house, right? Bought a sofa and all these different things. And I'm thinking to myself, it really is so different. So, a sofa, there's color, there's the way that it sits, there's the manufacturer, you want quality, right? So you go through a checklist. But a mattress is so different. I've got a sofa in my game room. I'm not a huge fan of in terms of the comfort of it, but it looks really good. So my criteria would be different, but it's so different for a bed because you're there for so long. Like, that is a comfort thing, and comfort is totally subjective. And your comment about a shoe, like, it's just such a unique product. And I think it's worth just calling that out again. It is not like any other durable good that I can think of, actually.
I want to build on that in the vein of speaking to the consumer. And maybe if you have somebody who's a little bit less inclined to be dissuaded from this myth of the best mattress, sometimes people say, well, I sniffed out some good review sites. I saw ones that looked like they did actual testing and they had all their editors slept on the mattresses or whatever. It doesn't matter, because fundamentally none of that changes the fact that mattresses are personal, and there's no such thing as a list of the best mattresses that can be applied to all side sleepers, let alone all, sleepers in 2026. And so if they're putting that list out, then either it was commercially influenced, basically, and is corrupt based on who paid the most, or it was something that they did with complete ignorance as to the fact that this is a personal product. But it doesn't matter to you. It's fundamentally, whether it's corrupt information or ignorant information, it's still bad, misleading information. It really doesn't matter which one it is. And in some cases, I think the ones that purport to do testing, where it just ultimately sort of dresses up their misleading list and makes it look more believable. It sort of provides window dressing for this list. That sometimes feels like worse to me from an ethical standpoint because it's actually making more people fall for it, and even, more discerning customers potentially might fall for it. So these are all things I think that can help when you're talking to the consumer. And then I think it's also important to distinguish. There are some characteristics of a mattress that can be measured and that are universally better or worse. So if people push back, they might rightfully, I should say, push back on like, well, can't one mattress be kind of universally better at edge support than another mattress? Well, yeah, it actually can. Like, that's not really a personal thing. Like, some mattresses could be a little better at motion isolation than others.
Or all night temperature control, but a quantitative data set that can support the opinion, but it's not an opinion. It's a quantitative measure. There's a big difference.
That's
there.
A scientifically measurable, objective performance characteristic that's going to be pretty much universally experienced by all sleepers on that mattress. Edge support's not going to differ from me versus you, or from relative to even a 300-pound person. The relative edge support's going to be better for them on that mattress than another mattress, just the same as it is for you or me. So there are some universal characteristics. We call those features. We have the 3 Fs paradigm: fit, feel, and features. That third bucket are things that are universally better or worse across all different types of sleepers. Those should be helpful when you're talking to consumers about this stuff.
Well, I think we've covered a lot here, Mike. And I hope that the people listening to this that have any control over their own websites, their own social media, their own marketing, their own sales training process, any of that, I think it's worthwhile and should be heavily considered. Because if we are not, putting information out there that corrects the bad information, then we deserve what we get, right? And what we're getting isn't good. It's not good for the consumer, and it's not good for our business or the industry. So hopefully this lands hard with people. What did we forget? Anything?
No, I just want to reiterate. Let's make this an industry-wide banging of the drum where we can let people know that best mattress lists are bogus, and that will benefit any producer of good products and any seller.
You should put out some t-shirts, best mattress list are bogus, and everyone could just start wearing the t-shirts and spread the word.
Hey, we'd be glad to do it. Yeah. Put it on your website and you'll get a free t-shirt.
And we'll give you a second best mattress list or bogus t-shirt for someone you really love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems fair. All right. Well, appreciate everyone tuning in. Really do appreciate the time you are spending with us. Like the episode, share the episode. And most importantly, we'd love to hear from you. If you see something out there in social media you agree with, you don't agree with, we have thick skin. Let us know. We'd love to have a conversation with you and talk about it in future episodes. But for now, I think we've covered it all.
We're out.